Hello, I'm Dr. Russell Don, President of Concordia University Chicago. Thank you for tuning in to today's Cougar Athletics broadcast. We take great pride in the strength of both our athletic and academic programs, which are rooted in our steadfast commitment to Jesus Christ. Dedicated to the liberal arts as a foundation of a high-quality college degree, we believe education should form individuals for service to their neighbors. This makes Concordia Chicago an exciting and fulfilling place to study, work, learn, and grow. Learn more today by visiting cuchicago.edu. Thank you, and go Cougars!
Hello, Cougar Nation, and welcome to another Coaches Weekly for this season of men's soccer at Concordia Chicago. I'm Jonathan Shear with the Cougar Sports Network, and back on the show this week is head coach of that soccer team, Brad Callahan.
Thanks for having me, Jonathan.
And thanks for coming back, Coach. With comes to the team, the first of your final 3 games came and went this past Saturday, and along with that, your push to earn a conference playoff spot suffered a big blow in a 5-4 shocker loss to Concordia, Wisconsin. And there was a lot we could touch on from that game. There's some good parts, there's some bad parts, but most notable is one of those downsides in that your team had a 3-0 lead with about 23 minutes remaining and then lost 5-4. What was the biggest problem you saw from your team in that second half collapse?
This is something I've talked about with the team, and I think it's just going to take repetitions, but I think you got to play the same way you played in the first minute and the 90th minute. I think they started to get too defensive. We let Concordia, Wisconsin have the ball too much, and they started getting opportunities. You kind of feel the momentum shifting. And the thing is, we have to transition on offense. We have to get numbers up on offense in order to create space, possess the ball. And I think our guys thought the game was won. And I talked about it at halftime because we were up 2-0 at half, and they seemed pretty confident. And I was telling them, the score could easily be 2-0 the other way. Yeah. The goals we got were a little bit sloppy. They had some really good looks on goal that we got lucky they didn't score. So I think the mentality just needs to be, do everything complete. Don't be satisfied with some things being swept under the rug. And I mean, mistakes were made. And so what I've talked about is if there's a team that's better and they perform better, then that's all right. But I think the mentality needs to be, regardless of the score, whether we're up 10, down 10, you take pride in your individual performance as a player and you do everything you can do, regardless of who your teammates are, regardless of what the score is. You need to walk off the field and be happy with the way you played, knowing you gave everything. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And one of those individual performances that did stand out from that last game was one of your midfielders, Justin Ocampo, who scored 2 goals in his first game that he's scored this season. And he's one of your newcomer transfer players this year. So we'll just to kind of focus on him since he kind of was one of those standout players from Saturday. How has he really developed into filling this team this year?
Yeah, I think Justin's a very technical player. He's very smooth on the ball. So his confidence and comfort on the ball is great to have in the midfield. He does a good job of possessing the ball and keeping it and being very calm on it, which is very valuable for us. I've talked with him. I kind of want him to have a little more defensive presence in that way. But I mean, he's a big impact this year. Very happy to have him.
Absolutely. When you look at your roster as a whole this season, something you've emphasized is a competitive culture with the team earning that playing time, earning those minutes. And as this season's gone on, for example, this past Saturday, you had only 5 players coming off of the bench, 6 players playing a full 90 minutes, which is a stark contrast to earlier in the season where you were mixing around with the players on the field a lot, 11 coming off of the bench in some games. So as you've developed that sort of more set starting 11, who have been some of your favorite players to watch really flourish this year?
Well, first off, I think a part of that is a lot due to injury. So that's it's not necessarily I'm making that decision. It's kind of I'm forced to. So Ronaldo was out, Omar's out, Phillips out, Isaac's out. So we have so many guys currently due to injury and illness or what have you. So yeah, that's I've had a lot of guys missing, unfortunately. So not as much depth, which has hurt us. But yeah, in terms of the question with I think Julian Delgado has done a really good job. He's a freshman who wasn't getting a ton of minutes at the beginning, and now he's getting full 90s as a center back. He does a really good job. I mean, he's quick. He doesn't stab in. He knows how to contain. He's done a great job. We've had some freshmen step up. Xavier Avila has stepped up, and Michael Sinise has done a good job as a freshman. Christian Ibarra has done a real good job as a freshman. You mentioned Justin. And then, we've talked about some of the seniors before. But yeah, I think we have a really good, very solid core to build off of. It's just kind of ironing out some of these details. And because right now I feel like we're just too inconsistent. We're too inconsistent. We need to get very habitual and disciplined about playing the correct way every game. Because I think we have a lot of tools to work with, but a lot of it is just, I think, being more disciplined about that. And that's something we've talked about.
Yeah, definitely. Well, at the start of the season, looking back to the start of the year, one of the goals you kind of mentioned you had for your team was making a run in the conference playoffs this year. And now, with 2 games remaining in the season, your team is sitting on the outside looking in at those playoffs with a very tough 2 games remaining, starting this Wednesday against Edgewood College, the top team in the conference this year. So as you head into those final 2 games, a tough road to try and have a chance to qualify for those playoffs, what's your approach? What are you trying to bring your team out onto the field with for these final 2 weeks?
I think kind of what I was just saying is like playing as a team, shifting on defense as a team, being disciplined as a team, playing smart, not taking unnecessary risks, not stabbing in. It's kind of crazy to see what just happened in the Concordia, Wisconsin game. And I think just giving 100% effort all the time. If you're tired, sub out. We have depth. Hopefully we'll have a couple guys back from injury as well. But I mean, it's just kind of weird how, I was looking, Hope is ranked, I think, 21st in the country.
Yeah.
Scored 2 goals on us. Somehow Concordia, Wisconsin, bottom of the conference, 5. And I mean, you look at the conference too, I saw IIT, who we beat 1-0, ties Aurora 5-5. It doesn't make sense. And then the only team to tie Edgewood is Wisconsin Lutheran, who got beat by Lakeland. So, I mean, just if you're looking for consistency in the conference, it's not there. Yeah. And so I guess that's kind of what I'm hoping to get from my guys is, can we be consistent? Mm-hmm. Can we play the same game? Because how is MSOE scoring, only 2 on us, and then we're getting scored more against teams who aren't doing as well? And so I think kind of like I was just saying to you before the interview started, it's like we'll run red lights. And some days you'll get hit and some days you won't. And the only way to guarantee you don't get hit is you don't run red lights.
Yeah.
And so you got to do smart. We don't communicate enough. I think I have guys who just, I don't know what it is. They don't want to. They're shy or something. And I've talked a lot about that is we have to communicate. We have to communicate. We have to communicate in transition. We have to communicate on defense. So I think it's just recognizing the full picture and not being comfortable with, I do these 4 out of 6 things really good. That's who I am as a player. It's how can we develop as complete players? And maybe it's something simple, in my opinion, like communicating. That's the easy part of soccer, right? I could get a basketball player who's going to communicate. Yeah. So I think those sort of things, they have to be automatic. So those are frustrating when those things aren't getting done properly.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again, Coach, for coming on this week. And like we mentioned, the Cougars are back out on the pitch this Wednesday, right here in River Forest, taking on the Edgewood College Eagles at 2 p.m. You'll be able to follow that game live on the Cougar Sports Network and get caught up on any action you've missed from this season of Cougars soccer on cucougars.com. Once again, I'm Jonathan Shear with the Cougar Sports Network, and thank you for joining us for this week's Men's Soccer Coaches
Good afternoon and welcome to Concordia Stadium here on the campus of Concordia University, Chicago, as we get set for today's Northern Athletic Collegiate Conference men's soccer action between your Concordia University Chicago Cougars and the visiting Eagles of Edgewood College. Peter Borkowski here on the Cougar Sports Network, bringing you all of today's action, and I'm joined all afternoon by Dave Dimling. And Dave, Cougars got a bit of a challenge on their hand with this one today. The visiting Edgewood Eagles, let's talk about them for a little bit. 14-1-2 overall record, a near perfect 8-0-1 in conference play. That only tie in conference play came against Wisconsin Lutheran on the 5th of this month. Meanwhile, Edgewood, they have not lost a game since their season opener way back on August 30th. That was at University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire, a 1-0 loss for the Eagles. And since then, besides a pair of ties, it's been perfection for this Eagles squad. So Cougars definitely have their challenge cut out for them today. As for the Cougars, they're rolling into today's game 4-10 overall, 3-7 within conference play. Conference play has been going better as of late after a 0-4 start to NAC play. The Cougars have gone 3-3 since, but still, Dave, with the Cougars team who, it's going to take a lot to climb into that playoff, that last couple playoff bracket spots for CUC, but this is not what you want to see on the schedule towards the end of the season when you're trying to climb up and get one of those last spots, a team as good as Edgewood.
Yeah, definitely. You don't want to jump too far ahead, but let's say everything goes according to plan. You're able to get a win here today against Edgewood. You also got to play Dominican as your last match of the regular season as well, and that's another tough one. They're currently ranked second in the conference standings.
Yeah, CUC with just a pair of games left on the 2024 season. As Edgewood, they're going to get an early shot off here, and it'll be an early save for the freshman keeper in net for CUC, Nathan Gudillo. We can talk about him a bit more in a second here, but you're right, Dave. CUC, while they're still, they're not out of it yet per se, but they have a tough task ahead. Not only do they have to beat the number 1 team in the conference here in Edgewood, then they got to go down the street and beat the number 2 team, Dominican, a week from today in the season finale, as this is the final home game of the 2024 season as well.
Yeah, thankfully for those two tough challenges, they're both going to be in the town of River Forest. They're not quite home against Dominican, but it's still going to be some home cooking.
About as close as you can get without being on the turf here at Concordia Stadium. So Edgewood coming in today, perfect, except for one tie in conference play. They are moving right to left on your screen in their black and gray jerseys with slight red accents and white lettering. Meanwhile, CUC, they're moving left to right to start here in their white home uniforms with maroon numbering and accents. Gudillo in goal for CUC in the highlighter yellow goalie kit, while Edgewood's goalie in the powder blue goalie kit, as Gudillo now gets set for the goal kick.
Yeah, this will be one of those interesting things that you get to see as a Cougar fan. You haven't gotten the opportunity to see too many elite of the elite programs coming here or playing them this year, but this will be one of those interesting challenges because now not only are they a really good team, but you also get to see kind of what their style of play looks like, how they move the ball, and it could potentially be just a kind of a different style that you're not used to, and they might play extremely fast or whatnot, given that they're such a well-rounded group.
CUC coming off a rough 5-4 loss to Concordia University, Wisconsin this past Saturday. CUC went into the second half up 2-0, and they had multiple goal leads at multiple points, but 5 goals in about 20 minutes from the Falcons of CU Dub down the Cougars. As we're going to have to see how CUC can rebound this. Here's a good ball ahead, and racing to try and stop it and not get in there in time was the pursuing Eagle. That is Connor Bruce, a junior out of Verona, Wisconsin. But it's going to be interesting, Dave, to see how CUC can rebound from that CU Dub loss. I mean, on one hand, you can look at it positively and say, hey, we played really well against a tough team in CU Dub. But on the other hand, 5 goals in 20 minutes is not going to cut it in just about any soccer game you play.
It's really hard not to be kicking yourself all night long after that one, just knowing that kind of catapulted CU Dub into a potential playoff spot. And you take a couple seconds, think about it. If we kind of reverse the tides there and we're able to hang on to that win, then maybe we're the ones looking at a potential playoff spot. And all of a sudden these tough matches we got coming up are a little bit easier in the mindset of knowing that we might not necessarily need a win. We could kind of salvage a tie or even a loss given if the other teams that are kind of fighting for those last few spots, if they don't handle their business, where now you have to take care of it yourself.
Yeah, we kind of talked about it last time we were on the call for some CUC men's soccer. That was a week ago today when they took down Benedictine 3-2. As nice poke out there by Alexander Lehovitz. It'll be a corner kick for Edgewood, but good defense from number 30 in white. As Edgewood, they're going to get started right away with the passing play here. A little give and go and trying to find some shooting space. Are the Eagles? They'll try to get a shot off. That ball is going to be blocked by Ocampo. And so it'll be another corner. The pair of Eagles making some noise right now. Is see number 9, Christian Torres, the sophomore out of Madison, so a hometown product for the Eagles, as well as number 15, the freshman forward, Connor Gage, also out of Verona, Wisconsin. As Torres, he'll put a shot on a bouncer, and Gudil able to make the save. So a couple early shots on goal here for the Eagles, but the freshman Gudil able to stand tall, keep them off the board. Let's talk about Gudil for a second here. He's played the most games of any goalie on the CUC squad with 12. He's played the most minutes with 773 and a half. 19 goals allowed versus 37 saves for a 66 save percentage and a 2.21 goals against average. He's also compiled a 3-4 record. So, you know, even though the season as a whole might not have gone how CUC wanted it to go, you know, they can kind of take solace in that. One of the big positives out of the season is going to be the emergence of Nathan Gudil in goal. CUC will get a corner kick here, but still being able to see that strong play out of a freshman goalie who hopefully will be here all 4 years of his career, that's got to be really positive for second-year head man, Coach Brad Callahan, to see.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's one of the things that Coach Callahan's probably been thinking about a little bit more and more as the season's gone on, is just making sure he's got his right keeper for the future. And I think it's really easy for a new coach to kind of have that thought process of kind of breaking down as you're going to get a header shot attempt right there.
Good effort out of Julian Yanez, able to get all the way up for the header. Fortunately, it misses the goal, so goal kick coming up here for the Eagles.
Yeah, I think it's one of the things I was saying was with Coach Callahan is when you're a new coach, kind of one of the things that a lot of people will see is kind of tearing down the old system and what the kind of roster looked like before and bringing in all your new guys. And that's kind of one of the things that it's looked like, where it was a potential race at the start between Kyle Schultz in the crease and the freshman Nathan Gudil, and it looks like over time it kind of turned into Gudil's spot. And you could tell it Coach Callahan still had confidence in him throughout the season when times got tough. If you want to look back to Concordia, Wisconsin, Nathan Gudil still played all 90 minutes, even though he kind of had a tough second half overall.
This ball booted out by the Eagles. It'll be a throw-in for CUC. But, yeah, it is a good point that earlier in the season, you know, we kind of saw – you kind of saw all three stages of it, where early in the season it was Kyle Schultz's spot, and then as you kind of transitioned to that midpoint, it was, you know, a fair 50-50 split between Schultz and Gudil. Even Chase Zizek, another freshman keeper on this roster, got a fair amount of minutes as well. But as the season has started to hit this later and later stages of the year, that's when Gudil is getting more and more time, and as you mentioned, playing complete games, all 90 minutes, no matter what the outcome is. So Coach Callahan hopefully has a good one in goal in Gudil, who's going to be here for a long time and hopefully only get better after what's already been a strong freshman season. As for the Eagles keeper, however, you do have an established name in net in Maverick Van Lannen, a junior out of Green Bay. He's played 1,276 minutes so far this season, which is by far the most of any Edgewood a keeper. The next closest is 98. That's Griffin Meisterheim, and he's only played about 233 minutes as Van Lanen makes a save there. First save of the day for the junior. Van Lanen in those 16 games played and almost 1,300 minutes of action. 41 saves, 12 goals allowed, a measly .84 goals against average, and a 77.4% save percentage. Van Lanen, a big reason that this Edgewood team is not only allowing under a goal per game, but has worked their way up to that 14-1-2 overall record. He's been a strong force in goal for them all season long. As Edgewood trying to move it the other way. Good poke there from Julian Delgado for CUC as Torres trying to find some space to run. Now he will. Christian Torres, he'll put something towards goal, wide left. And that'll be a goal kick coming up for Goodeel. Christian Torres, he's been all over the offensive side of the pitch so far for his squad on the year. 7 goals in 17 games, of 4 assists, as well as 18 points. This is a high-powered Edgewood offense, as on the year, they're scoring 3.88 goals per game, almost averaging 4 goals per game. That is by far the highest mark in the NAC. The next closest is Aurora, who's at 3.1 goals per game. So this is an Edgewood team who like to put the ball in the back of the net. This one's going to miss high and wide right. Edgewood also has 2 of the top 4 scorers in the league, as number 1 is Miguel Condegwo, senior out of France. He leads the conference right now with his 16 goals, and number 4 on the conference list is Connor Gage. I've already mentioned him today. He's sitting at 15 goals, as both of those players have over 40 points on the season, and that is 1 and 2 in the conference ranking.
Yeah, Miguel Condegwo, from France. See, that's going to be a name to remember for now. He's coming off an all-region season last year, and he's going to be kind of keeping that team afloat and being like the main source of offense. And as you mentioned a little bit, he's going to be one of those main targets they're going to be looking at all day long.
Yeah, but then you also have number 15, Connor Gage, who, he's second in the conference right now with 40 total points, and he's only a freshman. This is his first collegiate season. And so you want to talk about strong freshman presences. You're talking about Goodeel for Edgewood, as well as second year head coach Tim Bruner. He's got a possible conference offensive player of the year level type player in Connor Gage, who honestly might have won it this year if it wasn't for his very own teammate Conde Guo, who leads the conference in points.
Yeah, Conde Guo coming from UW Green Bay as well. That's a Division I. So that's going to be a really big piece to have for the last few seasons.
Edgewood finds Conde Guo. I haven't really called his name out yet today. Hasn't really been a factor on the offense yet, as it's mostly been Torres and Gage. As here's a good ball now for Avia, and Avia runs into a defender, and he's going to lose it. Good defense there. Jack Knight, the senior defender out of Verona, comes away with it. Moves it up the far sideline. And, we're 13 minutes into this game, as here's a ball ahead for Conde Guo. Nice back pass. Might have something here. Connor Gage going to work on his defender, Yanez. Gage puts it up ahead. Edgewood trying to find a shooting lane. Gage still dribbling, and he's going to finally lose it. Good defense there from the Cougars to storm Gage. But I was going to say, Dave, we're only, 14-ish, 13 minutes into this game. We're only 13, 14 minutes into this game, but this has not been a game that looks like – it doesn't look like a game between an 8-0-1 conference team and a 3-7 conference team, as while Edgewood, they already have 6 shots, 2 on goal. CUC's, they're at 3 shots and 1 on goal. So, you got to give the credit to the Cougars here. It's early, but they're not coming out and getting punched in the mouth by Edgewood. They're hanging in there with the Eagles really well for about the first 15 minutes of this game.
Yeah, I think that's going to be one of the main things to keep a focus on is they're able to hang tough for now, but are they going to be able to not only hang tough, but are they going to be trying to win the match overall? And I think that's going to be, are they going to be able to keep this pace overall? I know it's 0-0. You haven't really seen a whole lot of action either way, but it's all about just kind of keeping that tempo, keeping that pace, and you can't lose focus for the next 75 minutes.
Yeah, a win here would be, I mean, not even just in terms of playoff implication, but to give Edgewood their first loss in conference play of the year and first loss since August.
Months, yeah.
I mean, that would be just a huge confidence boost. I'm not saying it's going to happen. We still got a long way to go, but just the way that these two teams have come out, CUC looks like they are here. They're ready to play. Again, this does not look like a game between two teams whose records are drastically different right now. Edgewood already having a spot in the conference tournament. Now they're just vying for that top seeding. Meanwhile, CUC, they're just looking to sneak in. Here's Conde Guo. Turns it over. Here's Garrett Pointer, one of the offensive leaders for CUC. Has 5 points on the season. That is third, but his shot ability and his ability to distribute is also key. Here's going to be a shot and a diving stop by Van Lannen. I think it was wide left of the pipe, but still a good piece of play there by Van Lannen to just knock the ball down and keep it from going out.
Yeah, really impressive overall.
In terms of Edgewood's splits, if you want to look at it that way, first half they've been outscoring opponents 31-7. Second half 35-5 as we get a stoppage here. A couple of players on the ground, one from each team, as Edgewood's back on his feet. That was Brandon Kaup Jr. out of Wisconsin Rapids. Meanwhile, the Cougars still on the turf trying to see what it is. I believe that is Juan Moresco, number 5. He's getting treated by an athletic trainer and 2 athletic trainers, I believe, actually. As it is Moresco, he's going to be helped off the pitch. So CUC will have to get a sub in here. We'll see who it is. But Edgewood, Dominican, and MSOE, those are the 3 teams who have clinched their spot in the conference tournament. There is a chance Edgewood, they could fall down to 2. They're 8-1. Dominican, who the Cougars play next, they're 7-1-2. So if Edgewood loses this game, if they lose another game and Dominican's able to win out here, Dominican can jump them, but still lots to see. Meanwhile, for CUC, they're currently sitting at 10th, 2 spots out of that last playoff spot, but they're in a good position because that last playoff spot currently held by Illinois Tech, who the Cougars beat earlier this season. Both teams have 3 wins. Illinois Tech has 2 less losses and 1 more tie. So if CUC, if they can, pull off some pretty big tasks here at the end of the year and take down Edgewood and or Dominican, who knows? They could maybe sneak their way in.
One of the tough parts, if you want to take a little deeper dive into it, though, not to be overly negative, but unfortunately, IIT and Benedictine, the 8 and 9 seeds respectively, are going to be playing each other soon. I believe it's this evening, so that'll kind of divide that gap a little bit, depending on if there's a win or a tie amongst them, because they're both at 10 points right now, and Concordia's at 9. So if one of them ends up picking up a win, then they'll put themselves kind of into that 8th spot, or potentially 7th, depending on how CUW performs.
So it's tough, but CUC, there's still a possible road. But it's going to basically require a win here today against the number 1 team in the conference. And the number 1 player in the conference, statistically, Kwande Guo, getting rid of it. And here's going to be a long-distance shot, a bouncer, and Nathan Gudil, no problem there. That shot coming from Aldone Lamani, graduate student out of Madison, a hometown product for Edgewood, wears a captain's band, as does the defender Jack Knight, mentioned him earlier. Oh, at the far sideline. There's Lamani trying to work to some space. Torres last touch before the ball rolls out. Less than 30 minutes to go here in River Forest, 27 and a half to be exact in the first half of play. That ball goes out. Let's see who the last touch is on. They're going to say Edgewood. I mentioned Edgewood averaging almost 4 goals a game, less than a goal allowed per game. CUC, meanwhile, scoring 1.36 goals per game, as they are letting up 2.57 goals per game. In terms of the conference rankings, their goals per game is at 10th. Meanwhile, their goals allowed per game is at 11th. So basically right where CUC is seated right now is where their goals allowed and goals scored per game numbers sit. But they have been playing better in conference play as of late. You got 3-3 in their last 6 conference games after a dismal 0-4 start to NAC play. Might be too little too late, however, for Coach Kellen and his squad to make a push here at the end of the season. As Avila trying to give chase, that ball knocked down by Brian Vasquez Trejo. Ball eventually leaves play, so throw-in coming up here for Alexander Lehovitz and the Cougars.
Concordia so far doing a pretty good job of just kind of maintaining their composure overall. They're not appearing in any way that they're undermatched by any means. They're kind of fighting equally right now. It's interesting to see how Edgewood's kind of playing as well, as they're kind of not showcasing too much energy at any point, just kind of making all the right plays overall. But we'll see if at any point someone wants to kind of turn it up a notch and how the opposer will kind of match that energy.
Big pass here. It's picked off by Yanez as he got it back on the Edgewood side for a second. Edgewood, nice ball handling there from Vasquez Trejo. As he gets it back from Van Landen. Good pressure here and a good pick here from CUC. They're applying the pressure as this centering pass will go to the other corner. There's Sinise trying to find some room. Good defense, however, from Edgewood. And knocking it out was the Edgewood defender. But CUC, especially Omar Figueroa, some nice pressure on the offensive side of the pitch. But here come the Eagles now. There's Gage. Gage looking. And Lehovitz, pop fly here. Vasquez Trejo comes up, makes the header, and this ball will go out. Last touch off the foot of Riley Stevens, sophomore out of Sun Prairie, Wisconsin. Ball rolling towards the corner, and a physical fight for it between Vasquez Trejo and Xavier Avila. As this ball, a big shot down to mid-pitch, and Edgewood with trying to come away with it. So you see, they've been pesky so far today. Conde Guo had a touch for a second. As now the Eagles lose it. No whistle, even though Torres pushed down to the ground. Here comes Pointer now. Garrett Pointer one-on-one with his defender. And Pointer gets muscled off the ball. That's a big defender. as a whistle will be blown in Edgewood, but Pointer going one-on-one with Riley Stevens. He's listed at 6'2", 205, but Stevens looks even bigger than that. Looks stronger than that, too. Edgewood has some very large players on this roster. This is a very physical-looking roster.
Definitely. I mean, you kind of think about it. The soccer's not necessarily known for being a size-based game, but it definitely looks like it's helping Edgewood today, and potentially has helped them a lot this season, just based on look at the frames they have. Don't forget that in Division III, when you're looking at those rosters, they're not. Sometimes you'll struggle with them being updated year to year. Sometimes people place in their heights and weights, and when they're incoming freshmen, and then never end up updating it. So they could have potentially hit a little growth spurt, gotten a little bit more on the weight training side, and picked up a couple pounds. So don't be fooled by that.
And here's Gudil. Yeah, Edgewood's defenders, especially like Stevens, who's really been on that back line. They're a physical presence to get by, which is going to help when you get in those one-on-one battles. We saw Stevens just muscled Garrett Pointer. Garrett Pointer, who he himself 6'2", 190. He's no small player by any means, but Stevens just muscling him off that ball. So we're going to have to see if CUC can beat that physicality, as there's going to be a push and no whistle. The ball went out, so it'll be a goal kick anyways, but Cougar getting pushed down to the turf, as now a pair of subs coming in here for the Eagles. Lamani will check out, as will Vasquez Trejo. Gavin Lewis, one of the Eagles, checking in. Didn't get a beat on the other new sub for the Eagles. Might be Austin Hauser, the defender. He himself is 6'3", so more height on that back line for Edgewood. There is Hauser, senior out of Waukesha, Wisconsin. Puts it up the near sideline, but it lands in the feet of Lehovitz. Past an outstretched attempt to stop it from Connor Bruce, but the ball goes out anyway. So thrown here by Bruce and the Eagles. Conde Guo past a running Torres. Picking it up was Gavin Lewis. Here come the Eagles now, trying to get past the CUC defense that has been really pesky as of late. Garrett Pointer trying to outrace the defenders. That ball's going to get knocked out. Last touch should be on the Eagles. It is. A throw in here for Lehovitz. Ball down. It's going to roll all the way to Van Lanen in goal. This will be a restart here for the Eagles. 20 minutes remain in the first half of play. No score yet between the Cougars and the Eagles. Edgewood 7-4 in the shots category, 3-2 in the shots on goal. And even though it feels like they've had most of the consistent pressure, this has still been a very tight game between these two squads.
Yeah, definitely, Peter. It's so far just kind of been not a lot going on, a whole lot of just back and forth. It looks like Edgewood's been in a more comfortable spot, but they haven't quite proven anything either. So it's kind of, we'll see how this team ends up faring. Edgewood, as is the most recent coaches poll, they're up to number 25 in America, in the country. So they're kind of receiving a little bit more attention on the national scale. So it'll be kind of, we'll see what they are able to get here with this deep throwing.
Throwing a land at the feet of Torres. He moves it back to Torres. Torres trying to get to a shooting spot. He'll leave it. And here's Gage. Gage, the second leading scorer in the NAC in points. He'll try to pass it. Good stop there by Lehovitz. Gage again looking. Tries to center it, and this ball is going to be knocked away by Ocampo. as Edgewood's going to have to retreat here. And I got to wonder what exactly the NAC coaches make of Edgewood, because if you look at last year's roster, Edgewood was 8th in the conference. They barely snuck into the playoffs with a 4-6-2 conference record, and they're only, as here's Torres a shot and a goal. Christian Torres. He gives Edgewood the first goal of the day, runs over to the sideline to meet up with the rest of his teammates, and the third leading scorer for the Eagles puts his team up 1-0, 18-16 left to go here in the first half.
Yeah, really good location on that shot right there, just right on that right side of the net. Not really giving Goodyeal a hold good chance of making a save there.
Yeah, Edgewood, they've been finding good shooting spaces all game so far in this first half. They're finally able to capitalize. They take the 1-0 lead over CUC. But I was going back to our discussion with Edgewood. Only one all-conference player last year in Conde Guo, and they barely snuck into the conference tournament. So to go from one all-conference player to and the 8th seed to being undefeated in conference play here in late October, as there's a save by Goodyeal. That's quite a turnaround, especially when you only have a second-year head coach in Tim Bruner. You kind of got to wonder what exactly was the missing recipe last season that has propelled Edgewood to this just insane jump in the standings. Here's a ball into the corner. Figueroa, he's going to race to try and keep it in. He just misses it. Good pursuit there from CUC's sophomore defender out of Chicago. So Torres gets goal number 8 on the season. He'll hit 20 points, and he was assisted by number 44, Connor Bruce. Bruce now with 5 assists on the year, so he's up to 7 points total with his 1 goal as well. So Edgewood, third leading scorer on the squad, gets him on the board here in this second to last game of the season for the Cougars. Final home game as well.
And Edgewood's right back to work.
As it's going to be an open net. They just need to poke it in. They do. Goodyeal knocked out of position. And coming in to finish the goal was who else but Connor Gage. Connor Gage will now tie Conde Guo for the most points on this Edgewood team and the most points in the conference. As it was just a wrecking ball through that box. Kept holding on until Goodyeal was well out of position, and Edgewood, just like that, 2-0 lead, 16:34 to go here in the first half. Have to see if they give the assist to anyone. It was a pretty solo effort by Connor Gage, and it will be unassisted. Held that ball about as long as he possibly could until he was able to poke it in the empty net. Goodyeal well out of position. And, you know, as close as this game was for, you know, the first 25-plus minutes, you also got to think about, it felt like it was going to be one or two outcomes. Either Edgewood was going to figure it out and start playing like the team they are on paper, or it was going to be a close game all the way throughout. I don't think anyone was projecting a CUC to blow out it. Here's Conde Guo now. Good poke by Julian Yanez, and it's going to go out the back for a corner kick, but excellent defense as the leading, now tied leading scorer for Edgewood was streaking towards the goal. Corner kick here for the Eagles, corner number 3 on the afternoon for Edgewood.
Yeah, Peter, I think it's definitely, I'm not trying to downplay anything by any means, but it's hard not to feel that there was a chance that it could have been foreseen a little bit, considering how dominant Edgewood has been this season, not only in conference play but throughout the whole year, as we've kind of talked about a little bit of this today so far. And it's kind of, I mean, with such a strong performance and schedule that they've kind of displayed, it's hard to not assume that they were going to be able to put a whole lot of points on the board.
Here's a shot, and what a save by Nathan Goodell. Sprawling save with the left foot. That was an excellent shot attempt from Connor Gage. It was close and it was hard, and it was in a good position too. And Nathan Goodell, that's what you call acting off instincts. Makes the save, keeps it 2-0. But with 14 and a half minutes, Edgewood now set for a very close free kick, as this ball is about 10 yards past the box, the goal box. CUC sets up a wall of 4. As Edgewood, they have 3 players, Conde Guo, Torres, and Bruce around the ball. It'll be Conde Guo. He'll put a shot towards the goal, and that ball I think was wide right anyways, but Goodell gets a hand on it, and so that'll be a corner kick here for Edgewood.
Yeah, now that Edgewood's kind of more settled into this match, they haven't really been giving Nathan Goodell a whole lot of easy saves by any means. Anytime that he's going to be involved, he's got to be laying out for the ball.
Ball back to Bruce. Bruce puts it towards the goal. Conde Guo gets a piece of it, and just enough to sneak past Goodell. I don't even know how Conde Guo got ahead on that.
Yeah, that was incredible right there by Conde Guo. I mean,
he was falling forwards, I think,
yeah,
like away from the goal.
Looked like a really, really impressive, just kind of, I think get a piece of it.
It was a redirect more than anything. I mean, he dove towards the ball, and it must have clipped just the side of his head or something, because it changed direction enough to throw Goodell off course and give Edgewood a 3-0 lead, as the floodgates have opened. 3 goals within 5 minutes for the Edgewood Eagles, as now Coach Bruner starts pulling off some of his big-name players. Conde Guo, Torres, and Bruce all take a seat on the bench. So just a few minutes after Connor Gage, the freshman, ties the all-star Conde Guo for the conference lead in points, Conde Guo gets it right back with his goal, which will be a goal number 17 on the season for Conde Guo.
Yeah, in 5 minutes of game clock, it went from a 0-0 match to almost basically a blowout. It just like that.
Yeah, and for CUC, they gotta get it back now, as Garrett Pointer will draw a foul, and they're going to give a flag as well to Austin Hauser, who, I don't know if that was a flag-worthy play. He got tangled up with Pointer. I definitely see the whistle.
Yeah, it could be Hauser's been, I think he's been acting up a little bit this match overall, so it could be just a reminder, but they also could have thought that Pointer had a good opportunity of making a run for it, and he just kind of robbed him of that. So we'll see.
Cougars now set up for a free kick. Again, they got to get some momentum back on their side now, because these good teams, one of the things that make them so good is they know how to utilize momentum. Once they get it on their side, they hardly ever give it up, as this ball is going to bounce over everybody's head and out. Goal kick now for Van Lannen. But again, Edgewood, they're a good team. They know how to hold on to momentum once they get it. Obviously, 3 goals in 5 minutes. That's what you call using momentum. For the Cougars, however, they got to stop that. They got to get a goal here. They got to get some good shots on goal. They got to do something, or else Edgewood, they're just going to keep building off that momentum and possibly add to that 3-0 lead if CUC doesn't change the tune soon.
Yeah, this is one of those things between a good team and a really great team that's one of those ranked opponents. Is a team like Edgewood, they have the lead right now, but they're not going to quit. They're not ever satisfied with being up 1, 2, 3 goals. That they just want to keep scoring and just keep burying you. So you got to immediately make a change if you're Concordia and you want a chance of staying in this match.
And things were going so well for the first 27-ish minutes. CUC holding Edgewood scoreless. This is a team who, they score 4 goals a game almost. But a team who also scores 4 goals a game, they're going to find a way to break a 0-0 tie eventually if you give them enough chances, and that's what the Cougars did. Edgewood up 3-0 here. Deep throw-in for Lehovitz and the Cougars. Hoping they can get one here soon. Ball into the corner. Pointers there, and not there in time, however. Goal kick coming up for Van Lannen. Over to one of his captains, Jack Knight. Big kick ahead. That's a powerful kick from Knight. CUC able to get it back, however. So as I mentioned, Coach Bruner pulling some of his big-name players like Conde Guo, like Torres, like Bruce, who've all contributed to the scoring today. We'll have to see if that's just a half thing or if this is going to be more permanent through the game. I mean, you got a nice cushy 3-goal lead. You might not need to play those types of players. Give them some time off before Edgewood heads into the conference tournament.
Yeah, that's one of those interesting debates that some players and coaches want to talk about, is just kind of what's the focus. Do you want to kind of save the players from having a potential injury? Obviously, you don't want anybody to get hurt, but if you are forced to have that decision, you'd rather it be one of those players that aren't going to be playing a ton of minutes when it comes to postseason play, and that could be one of those decisions, or it could just be a simple wear and tear thing, whereas some of the players' mindset is, I came here to play soccer, I'm going to play soccer as much as I can, and you want to rack up those tallies, whether it's the goals or assists, saves, whatever it may be, so that way you are able to put your hat in the ring for potential awards after the season's over. So,
and with the way some of the Eagles are playing, they should fill up the postseason honor sheets.
Yeah, comfortably.
Edgewood does have a pair of games remaining after today. This Saturday, they take on Marion University at Edgewood. It is their senior day, and then they wrap up the season with a home match against St. Norbert College on Wednesday, the 30th, a week from today, and then the conference tournament slated to start the Sunday after that on the 3rd of November. So still plenty of regular season action for Edgewood that they have prepped for and hopefully hold on to one of those top few seeds.
Yeah, Edgewood so far looking as advertised today. Going to be kind of an interesting situation when we find our. If you're a NAC fan overall, just trying to watch what that conference play is going to look like, is in men's soccer, of course, it's only single elimination, so it's not like you're going to have to beat that Goliath-esque team twice. You only got to beat them once, but it's going to be a really tough case to see if they're going to be able to, if anybody's going to be able to take over Edgewood, considering they've only lost one match all year.
Yeah, the other team in contention for that top spot has to be Dominican, 7-1-2 in conference play. They have played one more game than Edgewood, so they will have 2 more games on their schedule. They had 2 more games on their schedule, so they can finish as good as 9-1-2. Meanwhile, if Edgewood, even if they win today, if they drop the next 2 games, they could fall below Dominican, MSOE, Aurora. They're also 2 lost teams at 3rd and 4th. Aurora is still looking to clinch a spot in the tournament, however. So still plenty to figure out here. But Edgewood, if they keep doing what they've been doing all year, they will comfortably be in that number 1 seed. Again, they have not lost a game since August 30th. It was a non-conference game as well. It was a good steal there. Ocampo He's got his pocket picked, ball up ahead, and a nice play from Julian Delgado to knock it back. Streaking ahead was number 32. That's Josiah Landon. Landon, a freshman out of Brown Deer, Wisconsin. He's been playing up a lot since being subbed in. Came in when those three players, Bruce, Torres, and Conde Guo, left to play. Yeah, so you see now, Figueroa, he loses at Edgewood, struggling to get control of it. That was Joshua Kerr. But here come the Eagles now. They're streaking up ahead. Knight, he leaves it for Gage. Gage now working. He's got three defenders in front of him, and he leaves it off for his teammate. Passing it away is Noah Hook. And he finds Austin Hauser. Drew the yellow card earlier as he leaves it for Beckham Murrow. There's Pointer to Ocampo, back to Pointer.
Okay, just trying to reverse the field there a little bit, but we'll see if they're able to push the pace a little bit here, get a good look. They lose it there, but
Avila loses it. Pointer tried to get it back, but Edgewood is able to escape him, and now here's a ball and a race for it. Edgewood with Gage. They're going to keep it in. Connor Gage with some speed now, one-on-one with Yanez. Gage trying to beat him, puts a shot, and it's behind the goal. Excellent individual effort by Connor Gage, as this will be a see, they might say it is a corner kick. Actually, they will. It's a corner kick coming up here for the Eagles. So Cougar mostly got a piece of it after it left Gage's foot. It'll be corner number 5 on the afternoon for Edgewood. They've generated some good offense out of these corners. See what they do this time. It's Connor Gage, he leaves the field. So another big name Eagle swapped out. Corner, low kick, stopped by Julian Delgado. Ball's up. There's a via Edgewood Eagle tumbling over on the turf. Don't know what he was doing, some gymnastics out there. But this ball will roll all the way back to Van Lannen. So that was, I believe it was Beckham Murrow who did a little somersault.
yeah, Van Lannen's had a relatively pretty easy day so far, as his fellow Eagles have kind of made it pretty easy on him, not allowing a whole lot of good looks by any means for the Cougars.
Yeah, we talked about the Eagles' defense allowing less than a goal per game, which in the conference ranking, their .71 goals allowed on average is number 1. One of 3 teams to allow less than a goal per game this season, along with Dominican and Wisconsin Lutheran. As for their shots, they're giving up just 8 shots per game. Meanwhile, teams have only had 57 shots on goal. So, this is an Edgewood team who they make life very easy for Van Lannen in goal. And when you have a keep who's talented like he is, he's able to make up any of that difference between the good defense and giving up goals. And another Eagle down on the ground. This time it was Jack Duma. There's Ocampo. As for where Van Lannen ranks in the conference, he's currently 2nd in goals allowed on average with this .85. He is 5th in save percentage at a 77.4. He's tied for the 3rd most shutouts with his 3. And he's only had to make 2.56 saves per game. That's a really impressive number for Van Lanen. Not in terms of how many saves he's had to make per game, but how few saves he's had to make per game and how he still has really good statistics elsewhere. This is a defense who they, as we said, they make life as easy as possible for Van Lanen.
Yeah, and you can kind of tell anytime the Cougars have the ball that there's just going to be a swarm of black jerseys all around them. They never really have a true opportunity to just kind of coast up the pitch.
Ball works its way to Gudil, who's ready to get his team going. Now he's going to slow things down. Saw something he didn't like. Now he gives the ball a bounce and will get set for a drop kick. Kick is off. That's a high kick. That's going to make it to the opposing 35. There's a big collision between Vicente Romero of the Cougars and an Eagle who's still down, holding his stomach.
Yeah, it looked like he got potentially cleated in that midsection a little bit. Obviously unintentional, but
so those two players were running full speed at each other, as you can see. He's observing his stomach now. That's a Brooks Lutnan, junior out of Verona. Big collision between the 5'7" Lutnan and the 5'7" Romero. So two similar-sized players, but when they're running at each other that fast,
especially when one's got a foot in the air.
not going to feel good. Let's put it that way.
Vicente picks up the yellow card there for the Cougars, and they're going to play on.
A little over a minute to go here in the first half. For the first half of the half, it was a relatively close game, and then it's almost as if Edgewood kind of sat up in their gaming chairs a little bit, like that one picture. You know, when things aren't going so well, you sit up a little bit. Yeah, it's like
just taking a little bit more seriously, realizing that.
I think they took. Yeah,
they got a little frustrated, realizing who's competing with them and who's. They probably got a little frustrated, thinking that the Cougars thought they're in a position to compete with them.
So they perked up and they put 3 goals up in just about 5 minutes, starting at the 18-minute mark of this half. 18 minutes to go in this half, I should say. And since then, it's been all Edgewood as they hold on to this 3-goal lead. The Cougars, with 10 seconds to go in the first half, looks like they won't get anything going here. Edgewood, however, can they get a final shot off? Race for the ball, and that's going to do it for the first half. And CUC, they got some work to do in the locker room. The game that was tied 0-0 for over 25 minutes, suddenly, within 5 minutes, became a 3-0 game in favor of the Edgewood Eagles. The Eagles, they just got to play some good defense now, and they'll walk away with a conference-leading 9th win on the season. 9th conference win on the season. The Cougars, they got to get 3 goals made up here in 45 minutes. We'll see what they can draw up during the halftime break. As we're going to take a break here on the Cougar Sports Network. We'll be back in just about 15 minutes, and we'll have second-half action for you between the Cougars and the Eagles. Don't go anywhere just yet. You're watching the Cougar Sports Network.
Nursing student and choose to stand tall for healing at a university that places Christ at the center and embraces teaching students to live a life fulfilled by purpose and meaning. Concordia University Chicago's new Bachelor of Science in Nursing degree is an innovative and rigorous 4-year program that will prepare you to rise to the daily challenges of a rewarding nursing career and serve a greater cause. Our newly built modern simulation center features 4 distinct spaces, a skills attainment lab, multi-specialty intensive care spaces, a health assessment learning center, and a simulated home environment. due to our close proximity to many world-class teaching hospitals, CUC's clinical rotations offer an abundance of diverse and real-world experiences. Learn more about earning your BSN at a Christ-centered university today.
Monica here at Concordia University Chicago, and we're here outside of Concordia Hall. Concordia Hall is the university's newest residence hall, right on the edge of campus, perfect for students who want to explore the nearby downtown of Oak Park and River Forest. The flexible suite-style living in fully furnished bedrooms lets students choose what works best for them. Every floor is complete with a community lounge and full common kitchen, with a kitchenette, microwave, sink, and refrigerator. The first floor offers the Victory Lounge, connecting to 2 additional residence halls, with no shortage of ways to relax. You're also right next to an open, outdoor plaza, better known as Victory Lane. So now we're here in Concordia Hall's suite-style dorm room, and this is a really nice place to just hang out and chill. And since it's so big, there's plenty of room to spread out and do your homework and just relax. So now making our way into one of the bedrooms, there's plenty of space in this room for you and your roommate. A lot of times students will move the desks so that they've got their separate study space, but my roommate and I, we get along really well, so we can just work together here in the same space. Sometimes I like doing art as well, as you can see by the painting here. It's a 16 by 10 feet space, and most rooms on campus are 10 by 12 feet. So it's really nice to have a little extra space to work with here in Concordia Hall. So this hall is super close to the chapel and the Kennedy Community Center, which has the new Crossroads Dining Hall. So the location is super convenient. And I really love the city scene too. The location here is the closest on campus to the Oak Park River Forest downtown area, which has a ton of great stores and restaurants. Speaking of the city scene, I adore the view from this lounge because you can see the Chicago skyline right there. Concordia Hall at Concordia University Chicago.
Down through the ages, God has called and equipped people to make a real difference in the lives of others. To lead, to heal, to stand tall. For 160 years, Concordia University Chicago has been preparing the next generation of leaders with the wisdom, faith, and values to make an impact in the world, to share the gifts God gave them and answer the call to a life fulfilled by purpose and truth. To be living examples of what it means to live with Christ at the center as we serve others. Because at CUC, we don't run away from adversity, we go towards it. We don't shrink from our faith, we lead with it. We are teachers, caregivers and musicians, scientists, pastors and business leaders, unshakable pillars of strength and integrity who serve a cause greater than ourselves. And the world needs us now more than ever. Learn how a degree from Concordia University Chicago can help you be the pillar the world needs to stand for something greater. The only question is, are you ready to stand tall?
Concordia University Chicago is a Christ-centered Lutheran university where truth, freedom, and vocation form students for lives of influence and service for the common good. Our university offers a wide variety of undergraduate and graduate degree options that are available in person and online. That means we have a program designed for you. Whether you're a high school student, an adult returning to complete your degree, or someone looking to enhance your credentials and prepare for career growth. As a member of this university community, you'll also find support in your spiritual and personal life so you can grow in the faith and discover ways to serve others. To start your next journey with us, visit cuchicago.edu today.
Welcome back to Concordia Stadium here on the campus of Concordia University Chicago as we get set for a second half action between the Cougars and the visiting Edgewood College Eagles. Peter Borkowski still here on the Cougar Sports Network, joined again by Dave Dimling. And Dave, let's go over some of the team statistics from that first half. Edgewood out shooting the Cougars 14-4. Shots on goal are 9-2 in favor of the Eagles. Saves, the Cougars have made 6 thanks to Nathan Goodil, who is hopping back in goal now. Meanwhile, Edgewood and Maverick Van Lannen are at 2 saves. Fouls, CUC's committed 3, the Eagles 2. Corners, the Eagles with 5, the Cougars just 1. And the Eagles have been offsides 3 times so far this afternoon. CUC 0 offsides as of yet. Goal scorers for the Eagles. Opening up the scoring was Christian Torres, assisted by Connor Bruce, and then less than a minute later, Connor Gage scored a goal unassisted. And then about 5 minutes after that, Miguel Conde Guo picked up a goal assisted by Connor Bruce. So this is an Edgewood team who kind of flipped the switch a little over halfway through that first half. About 27 minutes in, it felt like a brand new Edgewood team came out, playing with a little bit more energy, and they showed why, scoring 3 goals in about 5 minutes of action, and they currently hold that 3-0 lead over CUC right now.
Yeah, an extremely lethal offense, to say the least, for those Edgewood Eagles. They have a multitude of ways of scoring. Every opportunity they get, it seems like they got a good chance of scoring a goal, and that's extremely intimidating for a team like CUC, who's hasn't found the net yet. So they're gonna have a tough challenge in these final 45 minutes. But on the bright side, they do have a new keeper in the crease for the Eagles, so that could potentially give them a better shot.
Griffin Meisterheim, the freshman on Racine, Wisconsin, checking in for the Eagles. So Maverick Van Lannen's day is likely done. On the year, Meisterheim, 233 minutes played and a half. No goals allowed, 4 saves made, 100% save percentage, a 1-0-0 record. He's picked up a solo shutout and 3 combined shutouts. As the freshman gets a chance now to season himself a little bit, while the Cougars going to try and hope to get to him. They need 3 goals in less than 45 minutes now if they want to at least walk away with a tie. And I know it's kind of weird to say considering it's only the start of the second half, Dave, but if they want to come back in this one, they need a goal basically now. I mean, 3 goals against a team giving up 0 goals a game. You kind of need to just average one every 15 minutes through this second half. And it's best to get off the right foot now and get this one back within 2.
Yeah, I think that obviously it's a little easier said than done, but I think the main thing, I think getting a goal on the board early is one of those momentums that could be a big difference. But then the other thing you got to think about too is, does that put Edgewood into a completely different mindset? Do they switch gears a little bit and end up going from that coast mode that you'll often see teams kind of put themselves in when they're in such a comfortable, controlling lead? And we'll kind of see what that looks like. But first, Concordia's going to have to get on the board to even get a thought of seeing something like that.
Ball knocked out, so throw coming up here for the Eagles deep in CUC territory. CUC trying to get control. Here's Conde Guo, keeps a hold of it, and it's finally knocked out. I'm going to say last touch by the Cougars, so another corner kick coming up here for Edgewood. This is corner number 6 on the afternoon, as they've done a good job getting some offense out of these corners. See what they can do on this one. Most Eagles set up at the top of the box. Conde Guo is almost in the goal. Here's a corner and a header towards one. Another header and off the pipe as Edgewood wants a foul. And we're going to see if we get a penalty shot here, and I think we will. Knocked on the ground was Brandon Kaup, and I think, unless my eyes deceive me, that was a red card issued to Alexander Lehovitz.
Yeah, that is what it looked like. We'll get a confirmation from the scorers table overall, but that is what I believe your eyes did correctly see that, Peter.
So Lehovitz will head off because if it is a red card, he is done for the afternoon. I don't think I've seen anyone run on the field for CUC unless I missed it. I must have, because no one seems eager to get on the pitch. Penalty kick coming up here, and they're going to let Connor Gage take it. Gage already a goal. Excuse me, no, that is Brandon Howe will take it, the senior defender out of Prior Lake, Minnesota. He will take the penalty kick for Edgewood.
Yeah, one of the downsides to getting that red card, too, especially so early, is now Concordia will be forced to play down a man for the last 42 and a half minutes. So that'll be a tough task to add on to the list.
Shot here and goal. Brandon Howe made that look about as leisurely as possible. He got Gudil going one way, sent it the other. And it is now 4-0 Edgewood as Howe picks up goal number 1 on the season.
Yeah, Edgewood not done yet. They're still stacking on the points overall, but it doesn't look like they're going to be done too soon. They're not content by any means, and that's one of the things that I was talking about a little bit in the first half. Is that's what's so frightening about one of these teams, is a team that's one of those ranked opponents that they're competing for more than just to win games. Their goal is not at the end of the conference tournament. They probably have their eyes set potentially on going to the national championship and competing with something like that. So this is just one of the another games, and they're just still trying to add on, and they're going to keep competing and trying to learn new things throughout this match.
As this ball up ahead, Gudil will make the grab, but they're going to say Edgewood was offsides anyways. Closest Eagle in pursuit was Brandon Kaup, who drew that red card. So Cougars playing with man down here. As it's going to make task even tougher, as now the Cougars need to make up 4 goals in 41 minutes and some change. And they're going to have to do it while Edgewood being able to double the ball on defense. You know, you got a free man. You can do all sorts of nifty things when you got a free defender roaming the field. You might be able to push a little more too, knowing that you can keep a man back. There is how the goal scorer on the penalty kick moves it ahead. Amani coming away with it. Graduate student out of Madison. Able to get it back for his Eagles, who are trying to move it up. So you see some good pressure in the mid-pitch. As this ball will be kicked out by Yanez.
Yeah, not taking any chances there. That ball was booted. So we got a throw in here for the Eagles.
Yanez giving his defense a chance to reset. Doesn't seem to slow down the Eagles too much. They're moving back into the box, and losing it was Gage. Here's a shot and a goal. Oh, my goodness. Christian Torres. Wow. Came out of nowhere and put an absolute rocket into the bottom right corner of the goal. And Edgewood, they make it 5-0 with 40 minutes and 2 seconds to go.
A heat-seeking missile off the foot of Torres right there. It didn't look like anything was getting in the way of that ball right there.
I didn't even really see Torres come up to the ball within but then, a second, he was to the ball, and the ball was in the back of the net. As Torres, he comes away with goal number 2 on the afternoon. He'll take a seat on the bench, is replaced by, I believe that was Noah Hook, who came on for him. Second of the game, 9th of the season for Torres, as the Eagles are right back on the offensive. And here's going to be a shot, and I think a Cougar got a piece of it.
Yeah, either that or it was a little bit of a too much attempt at the finesse little chip shot, but Looks to be a corner kick, so yeah, you're right on with that.
As Brandon Kelp, he dribbled it basically through Kwande Guo, who had to jump over it as this ball is put towards the goal, and Gudillo comes out to make the grab. We get his squad going the other way now.
Obviously, you can't put all the blame on the keeper by any stretch, but if you're looking at just the box score alone, you see that the Nathan Gudillo's given up back-to-back 5-goal conference games. That's a really tough one to see. That's going to be kind of a tough thing to put yourself in a spot to succeed, and that's a really tough match to win when you're giving up that many goals a game. And we still got just under 40 minutes left of this contest, so it has potential to get even a little bit more out of hand.
So CUC, I don't know the math off the top of my head, but I believe that unless they pull off a miracle here, 5 goals in under 39 minutes, then this will do it for their playoff chances here in 2024. As you look at the standings, they are only a point below Benedictine and IIT. Benedictine is at 9th, IIT at 8th, but if IIT wins tonight, that should put them out of reach of the Cougars. I do think, though, if these two teams tie, then there's a chance. Both of them have played one less game than the Cougars, however, so.
Yeah, it would be definitely a tough stretch because you'd need IIT and BenU to tie.
Tonight,
and then
when they play each other.
And then IIT would have to lose to Wisconsin Lutheran, who is a tough opponent. They are currently 6th in the standings, and then they'd also have to lose to Rockford, unfortunately, who's just about as bottom of the barrel as it gets in the NAC right now.
Second to last in the conference are the Regents at 2-7-1.
So the Cougars would need to be not only all that, but then the Cougars would also have to beat Dominican, who's had a extremely strong season as well.
Dominican number 2 in the conference. Cougars play them in 1 week, so they might not be mathematically eliminated after this game, but they're going to need a lot of things to go right. As there's a long distance shot and a save by Meisterheim.
Because, unfortunately, too, the list isn't over there. You look at BenU's schedule as well. Obviously, we mentioned they need a tie, BenU IIT tie, and then Benedictine would also have to lose against the Milwaukee School of Engineering, who's the 3 seed right now, and then they would also have to lose to Aurora, who's the 4 seed. So on Benedictine's schedule, that looks a little bit more doable for the Cougars' sake, but there's a lot of stuff that has to go their way, and right now they got to take care of their own business, and that, well, it could potentially just be the start of maybe gathering some momentum in this match. It's not necessarily about how do we find a way to score 5 goals in 36 minutes, but maybe it's how do we find a way to kind of chip away at such a strong defense that Edgewood has, and then maybe you end up finding something that you can end up using to attack Dominican and potentially put yourself in a situation to where you can become a diehard fan of 3 or 4 different NAC teams in the closing week.
As here's Gage. Gage gets tangled up by Gudillo. Strong play. I think Gage was almost locked in for a goal, and no call on that. Gage is still on the ground. I'm surprised that.
Yeah, that was a takedown right there by a couple Cougars, but no whistle or anything. They're going to play on.
Yeah, Connor Gage, again, one-on-one with Gudillo, and Gudillo came up and just tied him up around the legs and able to eventually poke that ball away. It looked like it was almost going to be a certain goal for Connor Gage. Instead, here come the Cougars. Maybe they could turn that defense into offense, but Edgewood's defense gets in the way of itself there. Clear-out attempt from Knight hit Lamani in the head. And they're still trying to get it out of their own zone, and now whistle blows. And it looks like a Cougar committed a no-no, so Edgewood gets solid possession here. Yeah, as for the Dominican game, Dominican has not as good an offense as Edgewood, a 1.7 goal per game offense for Dominican compared to the 3.8 offense per game for Edgewood. But Dominican's defense is just as strong. 0.76 goals allowed per game for the Dominican Stars, who the Cougars are going to have to take on in a week. So it's going to be a tough task, but there is still a possible road. And like Dave said, it can start with getting some momentum here in the final 34 minutes and 8 seconds of this one. Here come the Eagles. There's Conde Guo. Guo gets tripped up a little bit. He'll centering pass, shot, and goal for the Eagles. Noah Hook finds himself a goal here. Adds to the list. Goal number 3 on the season for Noah Hook, as the junior makes it a 6-0 game here. A little less than 35 minutes to go. For Edgewood, this is getting closer and closer to their highest scoring game of the year. Only 3 games this year they potted more goals than today. They scored 8 in a shutout over University of Wisconsin River Falls on the 14th of September. They scored 9 the game before that against University of Wisconsin Stout, and then they scored 10 in a 10-2 win over Lawrence back on the 6th of September. It's about that 3 games in a row, and Edgewood scored 27 goals while holding their opponent to 2.
Yeah, they've done a lot of impressive things this year, to say the least.
And on the defensive end, they are on track right now to get their 5th shutout in a row. They haven't given up a goal since October 9th, a 4-2 win against Aurora. And they are 33 minutes away from getting another one here. See if CUC can change that and get a goal here, and as we said, maybe get a little momentum going. Here come the Eagles. They do control that mid-pitch. All the way back for Jack Knight. And Garrett Pointer trying to force a turnover. The Eagles somehow keep a hold of it, however. Ball into the corner, racing for it was Josiah Landon, not able to get there in time. So throwing here for the Cougs.
Yeah, it looks like Edgewood's gotten most, if not all, of that travel roster that they brought today into this match, which is really impressive overall, but kind of speaks to the magnitude of what kind of performance they've displayed today.
Ball moves back to the Edgewood back line. Over now to the far side defender. CC gets it on their own side, trying to find a passing outlet as Edgewood swarming the ball carrier. It was Julian Delgado for a second. Now it works back to Yanez. Ball up. CC trying to get control of it, but Edgewood coming away with it again. Pass picked off by Bernardo Delgado, but not for long. Edgewood doing a good job maintaining possession now. This ball will leave the pitch. And it'll be a corner for the Eagles. Going to do it will be Aldona Lamani. And Lamani gets his team started off quick here. Ball put towards the goal, a header towards one direction, another header, and that's going to go over the soccer crossbar, and it hit the football crossbar, so that is considered out of bounds, and it'll be a goal kick for the Cougars. Edgewood coming that close to scoring yet another goal, and that'll do it for Goodell's day. He'll check out. Kyle Schultz will come in for CUC. As the freshman's day is done in goal. Goodell leaves 6 saves made, 6 goals allowed. As Kyle Schultz, the junior, checks in now.
Yeah, Kyle Schultz just looking to kind of stop the bleeding a little bit, give his team a chance of kind of turning that defense into a little bit of offense, get something going. We'll see if he's able to do so.
Schultz on the year, 377 minutes, 44 seconds played, 13 goals allowed against 19 saves for a 59.4 save percentage and a 310 goals against average mark. Schultz was the leading goalie in most statistics for the Cougars last season. And again, was the primary starter to kick us off here in 2024. Nathan Goodell eventually kind of turned into the primary man in goal, but Schultz still getting plenty of minutes as we are rapidly approaching the end of the season. Here's something. Sinise will get the Cougars on the board. Michael Sinise. First goal of the day for CUC. They break the Eagles shutout streak at 4 games plus some change, and they make it 6-1. 29:03 left to go here in the second half.
Edgewood doesn't look to be too bothered at all. They're actually going to bring in a couple more subs. Get a couple more fresh legs into the match.
Yeah, I'm sure they would have loved to keep that shutout streak going, but you know what they're focused on is a goal at the end of the day, a win at the end of the day, I should say. And again, unless something really crazy happens here, they are well on their way to doing so. As for Griffin Meisterheim, the goalie for Edgewood, that's his first goal given up in his collegiate career. Now has 1 goal given up against 5 saves. So, tough break there for the freshman in goal, but you know, they're focused on just getting that win down. Less than 28 minutes to play here in the game. So you see last goal scorers of the game so far as Meisterheim picks that up. Sinise unassisted. As an Eagle on the turf for a second, back up. CUC trying to move it the other way now. Here's Julian Delgado. Back line to Yanez. Cougar pushed over there, no whistle. Edgewood comes away with it. Good physicality out of the defender, who I believe that is number 2, Yair Perez Ruiz. Hard to see on that far sideline. The Cougars, still pressuring the Eagles here.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you can kind of expect to see in these wider margin games is the refs tend to kind of swallow the whistle a little bit more and just kind of let them play, get the game going. So you can kind of expect to see a little bit more physicality, or at least they'll let it slide a little bit more. So if you're able to utilize that to your advantage, whether or not you want to or not, that's kind of the opportunities there.
Corner kick coming up here for CUC now. It'll be corner number 2 on the day for CUC. It's category they've really struggled in is here's a high arcer, bounces through a couple of players, and Edgewood comes away with it. Trying to find some room was Connor Thompson, as here is Landon now. Landon looking, puts something toward his goal. Schultz easily makes the save. You can see Josiah Landon looks a little frustrated. He didn't make a little more out of that possession. He had a good run towards the goal, and all he could do was a fairly simple shot for Kyle Schultz to see. Far sideline are the Eagles right in front of their own bench, try to move it to the mid-pitch. Cougars coming away with it, though. CUC, they've looked a little more competitive since that last Edgewood goal. Being able to hold on to possession. As this ball sails past Pointer, he's going to have to race to collect it as he does so. Pointer brings it up the near sideline. Light pressure from the Eagles, just kind of trapping him. And now the Eagles move it. Speeding ahead is Isaac Hernandez. Hernandez, a freshman out of Crystal Lake. Here's a race ahead. Thompson now gets a piece of it and just escapes his reach. Kyle Schultz will watch it leave play. And he gets set for the goal kick now. Thompson, nice run. It's not close enough to make a play on the ball.
Yeah, it's really good strategy overall by the Eagles. You can tell by just the fact that it's the Eagles' second and third teams level of players, and they're still getting opportunities and getting really good runs at the net, getting good opportunities. And this is still facing a lot of Concordia's starters and top reserves overall. So it's kind of just a strong tale of the talent on the roster for the Eagles that they're able to compete even with Concordia's best.
Yeah, and you can tell that Coach Tim Bruner in his second year at the helm, you got to think he's well in line for a Coach of the Year win, if not nomination, to take this team from 8th place in the NAC last year, still a playoff team, but to turn them into an absolute juggernaut this season, nationally ranked and everything, right at the edge of that national rankings. He's going to get a lot of looks for Conference Coach of the Year. And you also got to look at just the recruiting he's done to get players like Connor Gage, who's one of the conference leading in scoring. He's top 2 behind only his teammate, Conde Guo. To be able to pull in players like that says a lot about a second-year head coach. And to increase his win total already, to double it, but still to double it in conference play, there's still a pair of conference matches after today left on the docket. Thompson, takes one to the face. That was a direct shot off the foot of Delgado.
A little bit of pepper on that one.
Thompson looks completely unfazed, though. Now you could see him kind of check his nose.
Yeah, I must say, Peter, I don't know if I'd be able to shake that one off as easily as he did.
That was a point-blank shot to the face. And you can see Delgado share some words with Thompson, apologizing for that. CUC puts something towards goal. It's nothing as it's going the other way now. Rolls out, last touch. Rolled on the Eagles. So CUC ready for a throw in here. We get some subs first. And as both coaches continue to clear out their benches here, make sure everybody gets some reps in a game that has largely been, again, unless some miracle happens, largely been decided at this point. CUC would need 5 goals in 21 minutes of action. be basically the same thing the Falcons did last game against the Cougars. So it's not out of the realm of possibility, but for a team who's struggled to score the goal all year like CUC has, it's going to need to take a massive turnaround, especially against a good defense in Edgewood. See if they can get something started here. Fighting for and getting knocked over was Justin Ibarez, and good save there by Bernardo Delgado. He'll work it all the way back to Kyle Schultz out of the box. Schultz moves up to Yanez. Yanez back to Delgado. Delgado tried to chip it ahead. Good header from Beckham Murrow. Got up for that one too.
Yeah, climbing the ladder a little bit. It just looks like every opportunity that the Cougars might have a potential shot at going for a run, it's quickly turned around by a little bit of pesky defense or a little trap here and there by Edgewood, and they're just such a great scheme overall that they got going.
Ball rolls out, throwing for the Cougs. And Garrett Pointer will let Julian Delgado take it. Less than 19 and a half minutes left to play here in the game. Bernardo Delgado loses it to Thompson. These are the two players who was involved. That shot to Thompson's face. Thompson's pass knocked away by Yanez. Thompson got knocked down now. Him and Delgado becoming quite familiar with each other as of late. In terms of the recent history between these two teams, CUC 2 wins, Edgewood 17 wins in their shared history. And it's a 2-year losing streak for the Cougars. They last beat Edgewood in September of 2021. As here's a chance here, and good defense from Air Perez Ruiz. No, pardon me, Brooks Lutnan was the player in on the play. We'll tie up the Cougar shooter. CUC was close to another one there. Fortunately, no go.
Yeah, the important note, when you're looking at that historical data between the two programs, is neither coach was at the helm at that time, so it's kind of a completely different, obviously same names and same programs, but under two completely different circumstances.
Yeah, September of 2021, they didn't play each other at 2020, so September of 21 would be the freshman year of this year's senior class. So that was the last time the Cougars picked up a win over the Eagles. Since then, it's been all Eagles. As this ball is going to roll to Schultz. Rolled offsides anyways. So again, unless some crazy shenanigans happen in the last 17 and a half minutes, Edgewood will on a 3-game win streak against CUC. Ball. Here's Josiah Landon now with it. Loses it. Edgewood still in control. They enter the CUC box, and good poke away there. The CUC's defense trying to get it out of their zone, and here's a physical battle between Ibarra as well as Lutnan. And Lutnan drawing the foul on Ibarra, so free kick here for the Eagles. Not the only two Edgewood Concordia soccer action today at 5 p.m., so about an hour and 17-ish minutes. The women's teams of these two schools will duke it out up in Madison, Wisconsin, the home of the Eagles. As that's another
game between these two squads with some playoff implications. So you see women's soccer hanging on to one of those final playoff berths. A game at 5 p.m. at Edgewood, coverage on our website, cucougars.com.
Yeah, the women's team's been having a really strong season overall for CUC. If you want to talk about them a little bit, they've kind of been also able to kind of turn the tides compared to last season, similar to this Edgewood team, not by that same extremity, considering Edgewood's being one of the best teams in America right now, but the women's soccer team here at CUC's kind of flipped it around from having a rather lackluster year last year to being in the playoff picture. So that's a new sight for them as of late, which is a really good sign.
Yeah, they're currently sitting at 7th in the conference for the women's soccer. That is the second to last playoff seed, but they got quite a few teams nipping at their heels, so they're in control of their own destiny, but they're going up against an Edgewood team tonight. The Eagles women's team is one spot out of a playoff berth at 3-5-1, 2 points behind the Cougars and the 8th place Marion Sabres. So a win there tonight for Edgewood's women's team would do a lot for their own playoff chances, while CUC trying to shore up their own chances of getting into the conference tournament.
And then obviously the way the NAC kind of schedules games similarly, the Concordia Chicago women's team will also have to take on Dominican later on.
Yeah, they'll take on Alverno this Saturday, I believe, if my memory's serving me right, and they'll take on Dominican. Oh, excuse me, they were supposed to take on Alverno. Alverno season has been suspended, so it's what was supposed to not be a bye week turns into a bye game, I guess I should say. Most NAC teams always play on Wednesday, Saturday. Usually you'll get one off here and there, or usually one off per season, one of those days off to take a break. So women's soccer will get that break on Saturday when they're supposed to take on Alverno. As for men's soccer, they'll also get a break on Saturday, as obviously Alverno has no equivalent on the men's side of the league, Alverno being an all-girls school, so built-in off day for the Cougars, as Edgewood centers it and almost puts it in. I don't know how that missed the goal. Josiah Landon puts it wide right. He must have really had a bad angle off his foot. He kind of slid into it, but he was in front of the goal. All he had to do was tip it in, and somehow it goes wide right. So corner kick here. Might have gotten a piece of a Cougar as well.
Yeah, some Cougar had to have played some good defense there to kind of give him that spot.
A header towards goal, saved by Schultz, is now Eagles complaining about something. Let's to see. I think that might be Hauser. It is Hauser, who had a yellow card earlier. Dave, you mentioned he was kind of partaking in some extracurriculars, let's say, so you might want to watch what he says. One yellow card already.
Yeah, I believe his first one was for dissent, so we'll kind of see. Last thing you want right there is any further repercussions if you're an Edgewood fan, considering you have such a large margin right now that there's no reason to have this match affect any other matches down the line.
Yeah, the last thing you want when you're up by 5, other than obviously a big collapse, which is looking more and more unlikely as that clock keeps on ticking. Last thing you want is obviously an injury or someone getting suspended for the next game, which is what that red card does. Is he'll be a shot and a save by Kyle Schultz. Nice poke ahead to Julian Delgado. Loses it, however. Edgewood coming back with it. The foot of Joshua Kerr. Kerr trying to split the defense. Kerr running into a couple bodies, and now he's pushed over. No whistle on Pointer. Aaron Pointer playing some physical defense there. Still running with it. Now he loses it. There's an eagle. It's Hauser on the ground. He's holding his eyes. Might have caught something out of the turf.
Yeah, he actually looks to be unaffected now, so perhaps a little bit of a sell job.
As now there's another eagle on the ground. As that was Jack Knight. He's back up. It'll be a free kick here for the Eagles.
Final 10 minutes of play in this match. Kind of Edgewood on the run right here. Getting a little pushing the pace.
Might have something as it'll be lost. It goes out. They're going to say last touch by the Cougars, so throw in here. They're going to let Thompson handle it. Good run there out of Knight. As we do see Austin Hauser subbed off. Maybe a preemptive move by his coach to prevent anything with the yellow card in tow for Hauser. As this ball gets past a couple of headers and a bad shot off the foot of Kerr. Kerr was in perfect shooting position. I don't think he expected the ball to get to him as that went over a jumping Yanez. And I just don't think Kerr really knew what to do once the ball landed at his feet.
Yeah, it's tough to expect it in that. Just be gifted that kind of look right there, but Cougars looking a little bit defeated right now, so can never be too surprised as to what kind of free opportunities you're going to get.
Kerr does have 5 goals on the season, so not unfamiliar to scoring the goal, but doesn't get one there. As for CUC, like you said, they've looked defeated, maybe a little tired as well. This CUC team has, they've gotten subs in, but they've also kept a crew of largely the same players out there, especially on that back line. Guys like Pointer, Yanez, Bernardo Delgado's been playing a lot as of late. As you can see, Yanez, hands on his knees, catching his breath a little. And that ball is just skirts past outstretched Vicente Romero. Nice move there by Ruiz to find some space. Got to move it up now. And we're hitting the 8-minute mark to play here in the second half. Cougar knocked over. That's going to draw the whistle. That was Isaac Ramirez on the ground.
Yeah, I think one of the important things that you're going to kind of take away from the CUC side of this match is kind of when every time a team kind of suffers a little bit of a demoralizing defeat, it gives you an opportunity to kind of reevaluate and kind of see. So they get a little handsy there between the two of them. But you get an opportunity to kind of see what your team's kind of made of. I think one of the main things is it's hard to learn a lot about the team's character and kind of what they're all about when they're winning games and being successful. Because everyone's going to be kind of excited and happy to show up to work every day when you're performing. But one of the main things that you get to see a different side of people and how they are able to handle that losing side, and kind of it kind of presents itself, and you don't really have a choice with it. It's just how are they able to compete and how do they kind of prepare for that Dominican match.
Yeah, all eyes are going to be on that Dominican match for CUC. I mean, again, we're going to have to see. We got a week's worth of play before we get there of, what's the conference going to look like. There's a very real chance that CUC is mathematically eliminated by the time that Dominican game rolls around. But if they aren't, if things fall the right way across the conference, I mean, that could be a possible win and in for CUC, or a win and a loss would be way in. So, You know, the Cougars are going to have their eyes glued to the schedule this Saturday when everyone else is in action. And they are sitting at home doing some scouting, seeing what's going on around the conference. As you see with 6.5 minutes to play, trying to find some entry into the middle third. Good pressure here from the Eagles. As the Eagles come away with it. Here's Kerr. Ball works its way to Duma. Duma now for Landon. Josiah Landon shot a goal, but it's going to be called back offsides. Josiah Landon almost had one earlier as well. Put it wide right, and this one's going to get called back as well due to offsides. So with less than 6 minutes to go, CUC can get going the other way. As Edgewood was one onside away from making it 7-1.
That yellow card that you saw at the 83rd minute was awarded to Justin Ibarra. So a lot of cards getting dished around in this match. A lot of frustration between, obviously for Concordia, and then kind of resulting in Edgewood also had a little bit too. But
yeah, you could see Edgewood's frustration towards the start of the game when they just were not able to break a CUC defense, playing some really good defense, and even the offense we had some fair looks. But once we hit about 18 minutes left in the first half, that's when Edgewood seemed to flip the switch. They scored 3 goals in about 5 minutes. They have not looked back since. 3 more goals here in this second half. CUC getting 1 thanks to Michael Sinise. See if they can maybe get 1 more here in the final 5 minutes of the game. Josiah Landon, he's had a couple close goals so far as of late. Puts it ahead. Good defense by Yanez. Right place, right time. As Landon gets the ball back. And now it'll be Murrow. Thompson working towards the corner. Going to work on Yanez. Yanez boots it down now. Knight trying to slice through the defense. Left it for Landon, and here's going to be a chance for Kerr, and he is tied up. He's on the turf having a seat. Good defense out of Isaac Hernandez. Able to tie up Kerr just enough to deter that shot. Kerr still on the turf with the knee, as now he works his way back up. I think he just kind of took a nasty spill there.
yeah, couldn't quite tell if it was a potential knee injury or more so an ankle roll, as they got kind of a little bit tied up there.
So you can see him and Kyle Schultz sharing some words while he's running back into play. Now we got a stoppage. Couple subs checking in here for the Cougs. Julian Delgado out. Garrett Pointer out as well. Those two have played a lot so far today. Pointer, he's played 85 minutes, just about the whole thing. As for Delgado, he's at 74. As for who replaced them, it was Roman Klozik, freshman out of New Lenox, as well as Jacob Coverman, another freshman. He's out of Carroll Stream. Ball lands in the CUC bench. They'll get a throw in going the other way. Cougar down, and a free kick coming up now for CUC. Ball moved back for Hernandez, moves it over to Yanez. Yanez is one of the senior leaders on this Cougar squad, trying to find an open lane. Gets it to Corverman.
Yeah, we'll see if they're able to get any shots or any other looks up with as you hear the final 2 minutes on the PA announcement.
Yanez, they haven't really been able to break through this middle third in a minute. As Edgewood's just kind of parking the bus, keeping things muddied up in the middle. Here's Murrow now. Murrow over to Thompson. Thompson up ahead now. And coming in to make a play is Ibarez. Handles it now. He'll work it all the way back to Schultz. Less than 90 seconds to play here. 80 seconds to be exact. In River Forest, Coverman. Looking for an option. You'll have to move it back to Schultz. Here's Hernandez. Has to escape Thompson. 60 seconds remain here in River Forest. Edgewood cruising to a 6-1 win over the Cougars here. And unless CUC or the Eagles generate some last-minute offense for the sake of it, that'll be the final score. Less than 45 seconds away from it. Working with it now is Bernardo Delgado. Delgado will put something towards goal wide left. And that'll be a goal kick for Meisterheim. And, man, how much clock he can run down here. This will just about do it. He gets the play started to Ruiz. Ruiz will just trot up with it. Pressure here from Jesus Badillo. As the 10-second countdown begins. Knight will push it up ahead. And that ball is just going to keep on rolling as the clock rolls down to 0. And that'll do it from River Forest. The number 1 seeded Edgewood Eagles come to Concordia University of Chicago and dominate the Cougars 6-1. Some of our final statistics from the day. Edgewood out shooting the Cougars 23-10. Shots on goal 14-5 in favor of the Eagles. Saves, CUC making 8, 6 for Nathan Gudil and 2 for Kyle Schultz. Gudil playing just over 60 minutes. Schultz playing just under 30 minutes. Meanwhile, on the Edgewood side, 5 saves, 2 for the starter Maverick Van Lannen, and 3 for Griffin Meisterheim. Meisterheim giving up the 1 goal for the Eagles. Gudil giving up 6 for CUC. Schultz with no goals allowed, same as Van Lannen. Fouls, Edgewood with 7, CUC with 6. Corners, Edgewood with 9. The Cougars with 3. And offsides, Edgewood Eagles committing in 8 times. The Cougars just 1. In terms of our goal scorers, Edgewood taking the lead in the 26th minute of the first half. Christian Torres assisted by Connor Bruce. Less than a minute later, Connor Gage getting a goal. And then about 5 minutes later, Miguel Conde Guo, assisted by Connor Bruce, made it 3-0. Into the second half, the 47th minute of the game, Brandon Howe scores on a penalty kick. And then a few minutes later, Christian Torres gets one, his second of the game. And about 7 minutes after that, Noah Hook, assisted by Miguel Conde Go. And CUC getting their only goal of the day in the 60th minute, thanks to Michael Sinise, assisted by Julian Delgado. But that is how we got to our final score. Eagles taking down the Cougars 6-1. Dave, tough game on the whole for the Cougars, but you do have to think there are some positives to take away, especially in that first 25 minutes, where this was really a back-and-forth affair before the Eagles eventually started to pull away.
Yeah, I think one of the things that you realized was, I think Concordia kind of put themselves in a spot where they had an opportunity in those first 25, 30 minutes, and they realized they're in the contest against a nationally ranked opponent that's looking to go extremely far, not only in the NAC tournament, but potentially farther in the NCAA tournament. So we'll kind of see what Edgewood looks like down the road, but Concordia's got about a week to figure it out, see what they can do, muster up against Dominican, and they'll be on the road for that one. Unfortunately, we will not get to see Concordia Chicago at home the rest of the way this year.
Yep, men's soccer done here in River Forest, losing the home finale 6-1. They will wrap up the season a week from today, October 30th at Dominican University, just down Division Street. That game's slated for a 2:30 start, and depending on what happens over the next week in the NAC, could potentially have playoff implications for the Cougars, but we have to keep an eye on that. Coverage for that game can, of course, be found on our website, CUCougars.com. Do want to say thanks to everybody making this Cougar Sports Network production possible. Field level working the substitution table, we had Tyler Dorsch. Our cameraman for the day was Alan Mateo, and then Dave Dimely joining me on the call afternoon. We were under the direction of our graduate assistant, Sydney Lloyd, our assistant sports information director, Corey Welch, and our sports information director, Kayla McLeod. One more time, Cougars dropped this home finale of the 2024 season, 6-1 to Edgewood. They'll be back at it a week from today, October 30th, a 2:30 game at Dominican University for the season finale. Coverage on our website, CUCougars.com. But until next time, this is Peter Borkowski signing off of the Cougar Sports Network and wanting to say, as always, go Cougs!
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's Concordia University Chicago Cougars Athletics broadcast. We hope to see you on campus very soon. If you would like to learn more about what Concordia Chicago has to offer, go to cuchicago.edu.